I'm Paul Hoffschmidt, founder and CEO of Alpha Sophia, and this week I'm joined by Vendela, who is territory manager at Applied Medic and also LinkedIn top sales voice. Thanks for joining us today, Vendela.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So tell us a little bit about yourself, about your journey, how you ended up where you're today.
So, I've been in medical sales for about 5 years now. I got my start in B2B sales at ADP. So, pretty much anyone that's in medical sales has probably heard of ADP or B2B sales. I knew in college I wanted to be in medical sales, but I was told if you want to get into medical sales, you need to get B2B experience.
Great, and maybe building on that, for someone who has no idea what medical sales is, how would you explain to a layperson what your job as a territory manager entails on a day-to-day basis?
So my job specifically, so there's so many different types of medical salespeople, but I'm in device sales. So I sell a specific device that allows surgeons to do a certain type of procedure. And so my job is to go try to get in front of surgeons, get them on board with using my device, and then there's a training process. And then on top of that, you need to get buy-in from the hospital. So that's probably the simplest way I can put it. But so there's a lot of steps in the sales process, and but the goal really is to get in front of surgeons.
Yeah, and the job really entails both that sales and marketing side, that networking with surgeons, getting in front of them, being able to promote your product, but then also probably a really deep understanding of your product so that you're able to discuss the features and benefits with them at par, right?
Right. Yeah. So you definitely need to know your product and also be very familiar with the specialty too. So, like I try to keep myself very educated on what's going on in the industry. So I work with GYN surgeons, and so I actually have Google Alerts set up. So it keeps me updated with what's going on in the industry. So I have alerts set up for gynecology, vaginal surgery. I mean, you name it, I have a Google alert set up for it so I can stay up to date with what's going on in their world because I want to know more than just my product.
So that's super interesting. So you're saying that you basically try to consume the news your target customers, the surgeons you're dealing with every day, are also consuming, so that you have talking points with them in day-to-day interactions.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, because surgeons, of course, they're always going to know more than I do, but I at least want to do my due diligence by trying to understand their world and have something else to talk about other than just my product or the procedure.
Understood. Yeah, that's really interesting. And that's, I think, inside everyone of our listeners who are sales and marketing people from medical device companies, from MedTech startups, health tech startups can really also leverage and their sales and marketing approach. So looking at your time at Applied Medical now, has the challenge changed since you started there with the increasing rollout of the product, or has it remained quite constant? So how's your role changing or adapting there?
So when I first started, it was actually pretty challenging because I was new to the Los Angeles market. So I was in a completely different area of California at my previous role. I was still in women's health. So for anyone that doesn't know, there's multiple types of medical sales, not just pharmaceutical or device, but there's also different specialties. So like ortho, I'm in the women's health division of medical device sales. So I was working with the same types of surgeons, but in a different area of California. So here, hey, all new surgeons, I don't know anyone. So I'm really trying to figure out who's who. But now that I've been in the role for about a year, now I have a better idea of who's who, targeting. So that was the biggest challenge. And that took just a lot of groundwork, like prospecting, calling, in person, going to hospitals, just trying to figure out who's doing what surgeries. So yeah, so a lot of groundwork, but definitely in a lot better place now. And it's been really exciting because the product that I sell, it's a new approach to surgery.
Yeah. So you basically started off with a field you knew, but with no one in your Rolodex in that area you were serving.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
And what were techniques to find those early adapters in that territory? How did you identify them? How did you then approach them for the first time? So how did you go about that?
Well, I remember when I actually reached out to you about Alpha Sophia because I wanted to shorten my time to finding surgeons that would be a good fit. But I just Googled. I Googled like what GYN surgeons are focused on minimally invasive surgery, and those became my targets. And so I did that. I also would go to hospitals and ask the GYN coordinator, hey, who does a lot of hysterectomies, who does a lot of vaginal surgery. So it was a lot of online research and then in-person questioning.
Yeah, in the end, to gather data on who are the surgeons who do the most procedures for the procedures your product is for, and then also get an understanding who are decision makers, probably who you want to
Mm-hmm.
approach first, who you want to win as champion, and then get further and further into those systems you're serving. Maybe one step back. As you're thinking about medical sales reps or being a medical sales rep in general, what do you think sets a good sales rep apart from a great one? What are things that make a sales rep stand out?
So I think the answer is kind of counterintuitive. It's a rep that doesn't focus on just the product. So it's a rep that's focused on the surgeon and how your device is actually going to impact them, solve a problem, help their patient. Those are the reps that stand out.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So basically, be super customer focused and understand the needs of those customers and understand how you can address them in your engagement with them. Maybe even one step further, when you started working for Applied Medical before that, how do you think about choosing the right company to work for as a medical sales rep? Because in the end, you're getting their product in your hands and then going out with that product. What are some due diligence points you go through in your head that when making that decision for a company to partner with?
That's a great question. When I, so the last company I was at was Hologic, which is a great company. And before I started, I actually reached out to close to 20 different reps, so 20 different sales reps, and not just people that would be on the team I was interviewing for, but also people across the country. So I'd get different points of view. And then I left Hologic because I was relocating to back to Los Angeles, where I'm originally from, and so I was actually referred by someone at Applied Medical. So they told me, "Hey, I know you're looking to move back to Los Angeles. I think you'd be really good at selling this device because it's in women's health." So I did my due diligence again and I reached out to probably over 20 different people at the company, finding out, hey, what the culture is like, how surgeons are receiving this product, what the challenges are, and just asking a lot of questions. So and like doing online research, so looking at Glassdoor, just doing your research about the company. But I think doing as much research as you can, because I mean, just like how you're being interviewed, you also need to be looking at the company in that same way. Like who are these people? Is this a good fit? So just, yeah, doing as much research as you can.
Yeah, 100%. Um, and maybe a bit further along the road. I mean, I see that in my LinkedIn feed every day. You're a LinkedIn top sales voice. You're using the platform heavily as a medical
Mhm.
sales influencer. How are you using the platform and how does it help you? So, which decision did you make there to go all in on LinkedIn?
So, okay, I know you know him, but Omar Khatib, he inspired me to be active on LinkedIn. And if anyone's listening and doesn't follow him and you're in medical sales, you definitely need to follow him. So, I really liked the idea of creating a brand for myself because there's so many medical sales reps and there's a lot of really good and talented medical sales reps, but how are you really going to stand out? Like when there's thousands of people that are just as talented or even more talented than you. So that was my initial goal, was to create a brand for myself, and also another way to network with surgeons. So there's a lot of surgeons on LinkedIn, and I just wanted to be able to network. So that's how it started in the beginning. And now it's just been a great way to not only connect with surgeons in my area, but also network with other people in med device. So, I mean, we connected off LinkedIn, which is kind of crazy and incredible.
True.
And yeah, and just it's, and it also opens the door to other opportunities too. Not that I'm looking, but I've had other companies reach out. Hey, we're looking for someone in this space. I really like the content you put out. I like your mindset around sales. So like all of these companies, they get an idea of who you are before actually even talking to you.
Yeah, I fully agree. And we do that as well. I mean, we are a European company operating on the US healthcare market, and we leverage LinkedIn heavily to get in touch with people, learn about the industry, learn about use cases for our product, and also showcase what we've built and be really outspoken about our solution on there, which has helped us quite a lot. Um, um,
Okay, med device folks, picture this. What if you could open up a CRM today and it already contained information for every potential lead for you in the country? And you could narrow down those leads further by looking at billing, location, seniority, so much more. Alpha Sophia is the strategy tool that we wish we had had when we were commercializing a medical device in the US market. But there's nothing stopping you. So visit alphasophia.com and learn more.
Maybe from your experience now building a personal brand on LinkedIn, putting your shoes, for example, in the shoes of a founder of a medical device company, just starting off, trying to get in touch with first surgeons, first early adopters. What would you recommend to them? Would you recommend them also going all in on LinkedIn? How would you do the split between the company and the personal brand and so on? Do you have any ideas? What do you think about that?
Well, I would definitely recommend, like if I was a med device founder, I would say, like I would try to train my sales reps to use LinkedIn and have them use it as a way to do outreach and create their own content, because I've actually had surgeons reach out to me about my device because they've seen my content, and they're not always surgeons in my territory, unfortunately. But at least I'm able to help out some other people. But definitely creating creating content from a personal account, not a company account. I think
Mhm.
he still create content from the company account, but people resonate more with content that comes from another person.
Yeah, 100%. And then also the LinkedIn algorithm rewards it much more, right?
Oh yeah.
Posting from a personal account it just gets much more views and it's being played out at just at a higher rate. So it's much easier to grow that way instead of just using the a little bit more anonymous company account. Um,
Hmm.
and actually, what you're saying is super interesting that you are getting inbound interest from surgeons across the country for your product. And then in your case, of course, you're referring that to your colleagues, which helps them. But usually, a startup company often has a view. They often haven't divided the country into many sub territories, and they are serving nationwide anyway for
Hmm.
those first early adapters. So it might be it's for them. It's even a feature, not a bug, that people are coming in from all sorts of directions. Um, maybe a bit more in that direction. What's your experience with surgeons, physicians using LinkedIn? Um, are they using it heavily, or is there only a small component of them using LinkedIn? What's your experience there?
So it seems like surgeons use LinkedIn pretty heavily, at least the ones that are on. I would actually say it's probably pretty split. So like I mainly look at the surgeons in my area, and there aren't a lot of them that are using it like creating content, but I do see them engage with content, which is also, even though they're not creating content, if they're engaging content, that also shows you what they're interested in. So I think that's something that reps should look at, or a company that's trying to target physicians. Hey, even if they're not creating content, look at their activity. What are they liking? What are they commenting on? Because that gives you an idea of, hey, what things interest them and maybe how to approach them.
Yeah, and we also all know from marketing, you need like several touch points to then lead a person or nurture someone, a decision maker, into a situation where they are, okay, now I'm ready to actually engage into a sales conversation. And even if they don't even react to your content at all, but see it a few times, and then at some point you're reaching out to them directly via a direct channel, either cold calling or sending an email, they're much more likely to respond at some point if that product fulfills a use case for them. I mean, I get that quite a lot when I talk to people who mention, "Oh, I've heard you a few months ago in this podcast," or "I've seen your posts," and they've not reached out directly, but they then react to some content we send outbound.
Yeah, and then also, like, if you're putting out content and you see someone that likes your content who could be a good fit, like I had a surgeon recently, I was actually just looking through my old content. So I had put out this post. It was actually a video I created talking about the device and the procedure that I sell. And I noticed that a surgeon in my territory liked my video. So I just reached out. I forget exactly what I said, but I mentioned, hey, I saw that you liked my previous video talking about the V-Notes procedure. Is this something that you've looked at or tried in the past? I think I said something like that. And so it wasn't like I just jumped into, hey, saw you like my video, you want to try this? I just like opened it up to create a conversation, and yeah, we ended up meeting, and he's someone that now is in my pipeline.
Yeah, that's super interesting, and such a success story from your content. And also, I mean, let's all be honest, creating content is mostly a consistency game. Yeah, it's if you just get into the mode of doing it every day, it doesn't take ages. It takes like 5-10 minutes to be creative, think about a piece of content you could produce. But then it's just about doing it every day and every day and every day, and then at some point the dividend is coming in terms of attention, in terms of leads, and spreading the word about the solutions you offer to a market.
Yeah, well, and I actually don't even create content every day. I hold
That's
myself.
interesting.
I know. I hold myself to posting twice a week. So
Yeah.
it's something sales related and something related to the product / procedure I sell, or gynecology related.
Yeah.
But what also helps, so I always tell people, like, yes, content is important, and maybe you can speak to this as well, but creating content is important, but engaging with other people is almost just as important.
100%, and that's what I actually wanted to say. It's not only the primary content you create, but when you react to another post and leave your comment there, that's been seen by most of the people who have reacted to that piece of content. It's also a good way to break out of your own filter bubble of the people in your network and bring your brand out there to other people who are not yet in your network.
Exactly. So I actually like, and that's why I really only create 2 posts a week right now, because maybe you're just more creative than me, but 2 posts for me, that's a lot. And because I do put a lot of thought into my content, and so I really try to spend like maybe like 30 minutes to an hour every day engaging with other people's content. I do it less on the weekends. Mainly it's during the week. So maybe if I'm at an office waiting to talk to a surgeon, I'll use like maybe like 10 minutes. Hey, I'm going to comment on a couple posts. And I just try to at least engage 5 days a week.
Yeah, that's interesting and interesting to hear. And I think, I mean, and that's also consistency, right? I mean, you're just opted for a different schedule, but being consistent in that schedule is which makes you succeed at some point. And most definitely, it doesn't need to be daily, but it needs to be consistent over time, and then those things accumulate over time. On a more higher level, being in medical sales, having worked for different companies over the last years, are there any overarching trends you're seeing in medical device, MedTech sales and marketing currently happening or having happened over the course of the last years?
I would say so to me, so I've been in medical sales for 5 years, and I feel like things have kind of stayed the same. But I do think companies are starting to see the value of LinkedIn and using that as a marketing platform. So like even my company, my marketing team, and like just someone higher up, like a VP type level, like we don't have titles like that, but someone that's at that level had reached out to me about my content and wanting me to help train people. But I mean, I'm a full line sales rep, so I don't really have time to train people. But so they're starting to see the value. So I think medical sales companies are seeing that there's like they just need to start doing things different. So just like using different approaches. I mean, I use all types of approaches to get in front of surgeons and sell, whether it's in person, LinkedIn, picking up the phone, referrals. I do everything. And I think companies are starting to see, hey, we need to make some changes.
Yeah, that's very interesting to hear, and that's also in line with what I hear from many different companies in the market, that this is getting more and more important, and also what you're mentioning, that omni-channel approach, not only focusing on driving to the hospital and walking in there and walking the halls, but trying to create touch points across channels from social, email, cold calling, in-person visits, and so on. Maybe one personal closing question for you. What's your main focus for the next 6 months for you?
So my main focus is to continue growing my product and my territory. That's the biggest focus. And then also like continuing to grow my LinkedIn. And I eventually would like to do something with my platform. I'm not sure what. I know some people, they have courses. Like there's one guy, he just created a medical sales planner. So there's people doing different things. And yeah, I want to figure out what my thing is. For right now, I just like LinkedIn as a way to network. And I get a lot of messages from people saying my content really helps them and inspires them. So to me, I mean, I love that. Like if you're a medical sales rep, I think you do enjoy helping people. That's why you're in the industry. So I just want to continue to help people on LinkedIn and also grow my business and just become the best sales professional I can be.
That's going to be quite some exciting 6 months or year ahead for you. It was
Yeah.
so much fun having you on the pod today, Vendela. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, let's touch base in a few months and see how things are developing, how that ever evolving social media game is changing. And yeah, it was great having you on here today. Thanks.
Thank you for having me.
Can you afford to have a rep in every county, or do you need to be hyper-targeted in your outreach? Do you need to know information about your targets going in to be successful, or do you have years and years before you want to close that deal? If you want to be focused, if you want to deliver fast, you should visit alphasophia.com and help your sales team out.